Welcome everyone to this third edition, very special edition on Huna with Kumu Michael Longshore. In this video, Michael will share his insights and knowledge of how we can use Huna to stabilize ourselves and lay the path for effectively using Huna in the midst of this global crisis. Welcome back, Michael, and thank you for being here again to share more about these principles of Huna and how we can use it during these trying times.
Well, thank you for allowing me to be a part of this presentation, this series on the Huna, the elements, the basic elements of the Huna. We talk about the three cells, and we talked about the superconscious, the conscious, and the subconscious. Right. The Amakua, the Uhani, and the Unihipili in the Hawaiian. But as Westerners, those are terms we would become familiar with in our course training for those who wanted to research that. But we use the superconscious, conscious, and subconscious, terms most people are familiar with. Well, it goes without saying, we're living in unprecedented times. Right now, this virus, this pandemic is circling the globe, has been for some time. Many people are becoming ill. Many people are crossing over or perishing from this virus. The virus seems to have no boundaries. It does not respect gender, age, financial means, religion, or anything else. It pretty much does what it wants to do. And as we learn more about it and become more familiar with it, we're probably gaining a lot more respect for how it operates. That being said, in the Huna, what the old kahunas knew, as keepers of the secret, remember the Huna is keepers of the secret. The old kahunas of times past understood that these three parts had to work in harmony. Why? What was their role? What was their purpose? What was their function? So I'd like to touch just for a little bit on that today, what their role and their function is and how that can help us with this pandemic. Okay. I would like everyone to just take a deep breath. Yeah, that's right. Just allow yourself to relax. I love those apps that allow us to do that on our computers and on our phones. We're all using them now. Some of us have been using them for some time. But they're great. 15 seconds, 30 seconds. That's right. Well, the old Hawaiians understood that breath was number one, very powerful. And in having the three parts work together, the superconscious, the conscious, and the subconscious, that team was able to generate a healing force with that breath. A lot of information out there right now has been for some time about breath work. Various disciplines and other thought systems speak in some detail about proper breathing. What we know in the Huna is that we can use our conscious self, middle self, Uhani, to give a direction to our subconscious. Hey, what does that mean? Well, that means that's the adult telling the child, hey, I want you to collect some mana. We have a need. We have a purpose right now. We want to give ourselves a healing. Now, all this is done under the guidance and the auspices of the superconscious, some people might call it the Holy Spirit, the guardian angel, the Amakua. That part of us that is divine, that is connected to the divine. Okay, now, what is written in the Huna, in the text created by Dr. Ortho Wingo, is a paragraph that I'd like to read to you. Great. The strange nature of the manas. Again, remember, mana has 60 different known definitions. So when I say mana, think chi, think Holy Spirit, think of any energy source, the force, however you best relate to what I call the mana. The strange nature of the manas needs to be taken into consideration in all studies of healing methods out front on the pioneer fringe of things. We cannot stress too often the thing known to the kahunas, that mana is a living force, and that it can and will obey the commands given it. Whoa. I like to go back over that. The mana that we all have will obey our commands. It is a force we direct, that we control, if we so choose. These commands are first given to the subconscious by the conscious mind, middle self to basic self. The low self, subconscious, who controls what we call low mana. This is low mana. There's various grades of mana. Right now, we're just going to do some basic healing works today for healing ourselves, offering ourselves a healing for this virus that seems to be, plaguing humankind. Okay, so the low self who controls the low mana will collect a surcharge of the force. So we consciously instruct our subconscious, our basic self, through breath work or whatever other means you might be imagining, but just given the instruction, it'll know how to do it. Go collect a surcharge, a surplus of this mana. Now I want you to concentrate it in your right hand or your left hand, one of your two hands, whichever one you're more comfortable with. And then after you've done that and you've collected that energy, perhaps you'll feel a tingling in the palm of your hands. Maybe you'll feel just some little sensation or not, but imagine that force collecting in one of your two hands. And then imagine that you place that hand over that part of your body, wherever you feel you need to place it. Perhaps your lungs, maybe your heart. It might be your abdomen. Perhaps it's your forehead. I don't know, but there's a part of you that does know where that belongs. And imagine that surcharge of energy going into that part of your body right now. That's right. Allowing it to go into that part of your body, offering it a healing, that surcharge of energy right now going into that part of your body that needs to be healed. I'll just let you be with that for a moment. Breathing in and breathing out now. That's right. Feeling the healing force that you have created for yourself. That's right. Being discharged, the low mana, into that part of your body. And imagining that part of your body accepting that force, that energy, as a healing, as a gift. That's right. So now that's pretty complete. It can be as long or short a process. You can spend a lot of time with that or not. We refer to it as low mana because we're creating it between the conscious self and the subconscious. There's a high mana, which is double and triple potentized, where we learn how to send that mana, as we spoke about earlier, up to the higher self, up to the superconscious, if you will, from the subconscious. Visualization, imagination, the power of imagination. Imagine along this silver cord, what we might call an aqua cord, this substance that connects all of us. Imagine that going up that telephone line to the higher self. The higher self accumulates that. We send it up with a prayer. I pray that a healing for others and myself. Always like to ask for others first. There seems to be a real powerful message there. Always being able to ask for others first. The high self will know what to do with that mana and how much of it we need. It will direct it back to us, and it'll direct it back more energized, more potentized, and we call that the high mana. So any questions about that?
It all sounds clear to me. I got a nice little jolt there during that short practice. I was having a little pain in my lower abdomen area, and it like disappeared and said thank you. It was great.
There you go. It's just that simple.
Yeah.
Now, this does not replace practicing those things that we're now being asked to practice. One is if you have any issues that you feel are going on a physical level that you feel you need to report to your physician, your personal physician, or a physician, go ahead and do that. They'll guide you, they'll direct you on that part of it, on the physical aspects of what's going on for you. If necessary, you may find yourself, as most of us are right now, self-quarantine. Great time to do this work, reflection, and what have you, introspection, and practicing our breath work. But first of all, social distancing, PPE gear if we have to go to the grocery store, buy gas, maybe go to the doctor, or if we have some other occupation that requires that we go out into the public, always practice what we call rational thinking.
Amen.
I'd like to touch on that for a minute. Yeah. It appears, and we know this in the Huna, it appears that there's always been an abundance of irrational thinking. Do I need to say more? I'm going to say more. You know that, right? Okay. Irrational thinking. What causes it? Well, when the three parts are not working together, probably thinking irrationally. If we're stuck in our subconscious, we're probably so full of different emotions, some of which may not be healthy. We don't know, how do I get out of this? How do I get unstuck? If we're in a conscious mode, what we call our uhani, we may be just totally fixated on, give me the facts, give me the data, give me the information. We're not so much about the emotions. We're not so much about memories at all. That's the subconscious. And then we've got the high self, in our way of thinking, in the Huna model, would be loving, kind, and looking out over us patiently, waiting to be asked to join the team and help out. One thing we know about the high self is it's really follows the law of free will. So unless on the conscious and subconscious level, unless we reach out and say, help, it's not going to interfere in our lives. It gives us a lot of permission to go out and live the life that we think we need to live. There's a lot of good reasons for that. I don't know all of them, but most of them are all about just giving us free will. So the three parts need to be working together to be rational. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Okay, so in our breath work and in our understanding of the relationship of the three selves, we build those akka chords, and we build that trust and that understanding that helps us be rational. I'll give you an example. I have a thought. Thought probably occurred on the middle self or conscious level. My thought, not from somebody else, not some other source, my thought. Of course, we could also have a conversation about somebody else's opinion and how that might influence, but right now we're going to talk about my thought. And my thought is, I'm going to go down to the grocery store and buy a gallon of ice cream. Basic self might say, wow, that's great. Let's go. I love ice cream. Super conscious, high self, just watching, just trusting, just knowing all will be well. So I jump in my car and I run down to the grocery store and I go in there and I'm not wearing my mask. I'm not wearing gloves. I'm not wearing any protective clothing. I run through the store, bumping into people, not paying attention to what I'm touching. I get that gallon of ice cream, run up to the checkout counter, don't see if it's clean, wiped down, what have you. Again, reach into my wallet, touching everything in sight. I get that ice cream, but I don't want that ice cream. I've been in the house for a couple of weeks now. I'm really stressed. I want that ice cream. This is my food that makes me feel good, right? My comfort food. So I get home, again, don't wash my hands, open that ice cream up, clean the bowl, fill the bowl, clean the bowl of the ice cream, lick my fingers all the way down. I got a little bit under my fingernail, maybe I'll just get that, not thinking about anything about personal protection. Then I sit down and I turn on the TV, or maybe I already have the TV on, and here comes the news. The latest findings about this virus and what we need to be doing to protect ourselves from it. And then I remember, oh my goodness, I didn't wear my protective clothing. Oh my goodness, I didn't allow myself to, be aware of my surroundings. I was bumping into everybody in the store. Oh wow, I got home, I didn't even wash my hands. Oh wow, I not only, ate the ice cream, but I licked my fingers. Now I've got something to think about. Perhaps the first 20 minutes I'm fine. Maybe an hour later I get a little bit of a sniffle. Maybe an hour or two after that I get a sore throat. Of course, it is allergy season, and there are a lot of growing things be a factor. But now there's that thought. And that thought is like going on between my subconscious and my conscious self about, and it's probably more on a subconscious level, did I just make a mistake? I don't want to be sick. I want to be well. Now, this is where my conscious self steps in as the adult and says, okay, you're probably all right. Let's take a deep breath. That's right. Let's just remember that next time we're going to do it better. We're all about doing it better. We understand none of us do it perfectly the first, second, third, or fourth time. Of course, eventually, maybe we'll have to learn the hard way. We're going to learn our lesson, whatever that might be. In this case, it might be wearing the protective clothing, being considerate of the people in our space around us. All those common sense things. I'm trying to tie this all in together. What we're being asked to do, I see as rational, not irrational. Meanwhile, I'm breathing. I'm collecting mana. Maybe I got a sore knee because in my excitement to get the ice cream, I bumped into the freezer where the ice cream was stored. Now my knee hurts. I'm going to put some mana in my hand. I'm going to accumulate some mana, and I'm going to send that mana to my knee, and I'm going to say thank you. Thank you for that healing. So see, I'm kind of pulling it all together. Right. What I've learned over the years is these simple practices, and there's a lot more, and there's not time here to go into all that, but these simple practices start to create balance between these three cells. Yeah. Breath work is huge. It's important. What does this virus do? It takes away our breath. Something to think about. What does it attack? Our ability to breathe. That's one of the things that seems to be it just happens to the people end up on ventilators. Right. And that is another message about how important the breath is. So that's my explanation of the importance of the three cells and how they can help us during this pandemic.
Wow. That was great, Michael. It made me kind of think there that when you were talking about the middle self saying, you're probably okay, would that be an appropriate time to take a chill pill and do some more breathing and generate some mana to kind of cover yourself in it, let's say, and use that healing throughout to kind of as a protection as well as a healing. Does that work that way, or is it just more of a healing?
It would be absolutely a perfect time to do some breath work, and to imagine a different outcome from what, imagine the opposite of what the fearful thoughts might be suggesting.
Right.
Most of us in this world are awake to the point where we have some degree of sensitivity. You see more and more people, especially younger people,
Yeah.
being aware of things they touch, things they see, smell, sense, almost like extrasensory perceptions. But all people that in my travels, everybody has a degree of sensitivity and awareness, if you will.
Right.
They may not put a label on it. They may not want to know it by anything other than, well, I've always kind of been able to know things about people. I met a person who said, I could smell people with cancer, and they could. And I thought, wow, that's pretty interesting. So that being said, these gifts that we talk about in the Huna, we learn to explore them, understand them, and use them almost unconsciously. We train the subconscious. We train the unhipili, the basic self, the inner child, the young person who's eventually going to be like a young adult and eventually mature into a conscious self. We train them how to use these tools. And once they learn it, they're pretty smart. They get it. And most often, they'll run with it, and they'll know without a lot of preparation what's expected, when it's time to collect mana, when it's time to step up and do its part of communicating with the higher self and with the middle self. So yes, that would be a great time to do your breath work, practice the healing work. And where I was going with the other is that all of us feel these waves of fear going across the planet. And all I have to do to prove that, Huna is a practice of proof. We want proof of everything. Is sit down in front of the news.
Oh, yeah.
Do 10, 15, 20 minutes of that, and you'll probably feel, I'm not trying to make a suggestion here. I'm just saying it's been my experience. I'll feel waves will come over me of fear.
Yeah.
I'm like, whoa, where did that come from? Automatically, my basic self kicks in. I find myself breathing deeper, more relaxed, more calm. My middle self steps up, starts working through all the aspects of what I'm experiencing and why I'm experiencing it. The middle self being rational, being one that really analyzes, figures things out.
Right.
So that working as a team, and then of course I've always got my superconscious, my high self, sending me that extra mana loa when I need it. All I do is I make the request, I help create it, and when I need it, and again, where does mana come from? I just want to touch that real quick. Mana can come, some people believe, from the food we eat. Some people believe it's in the air around us. I'm open to anything. If you can collect your mana by raking your hands through the air and doing a certain type of breath exercise and visualization, go for it. If you can collect mana by reading a scripture and singing in a church choir and feeling all those chills running up and down your spine, you're collecting mana. Go for it. If you know that proper eating, proper diet, healthy foods is a way of collecting mana, and you have this imaginary or visual way of imagining that becoming like glucose or blood sugar, go for it. I don't want to put any labels on that right now. It's easy to kind of get stuck in some of that stuff and, well, what about this and what about that? Yeah. Just know, most of us, to be connected, we feel that tingle. We all have our own way of getting it. Sometimes it's a chill up the back. Sometimes it's tears. We'll just be watching maybe on TV about somebody who just passed with the virus, and they'll be telling their story, and we'll feel emotion. Right. All part of it. We are all connected. That's why it's so important to get the message out that there's a way for us to manage this and manage ourselves during this time.
Wonderful, Michael. That was, wow. I hope everybody gets as much out of that as I did of this. It was enlightening, to say the least. And it was, like I've said before, it was it's a fresh breath, literally calm in the storm, with all these techniques and things that we can do to keep some kind of baseline and get to practicing this full cycle through the three selves, and become more discerning or connected, if you will. Thank you, Michael. Yeah, that was wonderful. We hope you found this edition insightful and a fresh, energizing breeze in our current state of affairs. Please join us for the next episode of this series, where Michael will lead us for a group prayer for times like these. Wow, that was great, Michael. Thank you. For more information, please visit www.Bridges.Academy. Until the next time, please stay safe and calm in the Huna tradition. Thank you for joining us.
Mahalo.
Mahalo.